Drugs have always been a big taboo in China. Most people in mainland believe every drug is bad, and most have never tried any drug in their whole life. Most Chinese people are very curious about drugs, and they want to know more about drugs. However, the mainstream social media platforms in mainland China like Red Note and Weibo barely have any unbiased educational material for drugs. Even if they do, the post will be reported and taken down shortly. Yes, some Chinese people love to report things that they believe are bad. The only drug posts allowed so far are the ones demonize all drugs and emphasize the damage you get when being addicted. So whoever reads that would be extremely deterred and would never want to try drugs in their life. Most Chinese people in mainland don't know the difference between uppers and downers, psychedelics and stimulants. Most still think weed is like hard drugs. Here are some comments that I saw on Chinese social media in regards to weed.
Weed dealers should be sentenced to death.
I'm in Manchester. I smell weed almost every day on the street, and I've been Googling if I'd get addicted by frequently smelling secondhand weed. I'm worried. Wouldn't smoking too much weed cause severe skin breakdown? Hello everyone, this is Jin. Today we are talking about drugs in China. I think firstly we need to understand why China is a world anti-drug center. The first thing that comes to mind is the Opium War. The first and second Opium Wars in mid-1800 were essentially caused by Britain forcing opium into China to balance trade, leading to mass addiction among the population, social and economic collapse, and loss of sovereignty. To this day, the Opium Wars are seen in China not just as a national tragedy, but as a symbol of cultural humiliation, and drugs in China pretty much mean national downfall. After the fall of the Qing dynasty, addiction rates were still pretty high, so when the Communist Party took power in 1949, they launched aggressive anti-drug campaigns to arrest or re-educate addicts and execute drug dealers. Drug use at the time were linked to moral corruption and national betrayal, so then for China to stay drug-free is patriotic. Then the legacy continues today. Super harsh drug laws are in place, for example, death penalty for trafficking. There's massive surveillance and public shaming for drug use as well. Also, strong censorship around drug-related content online. Therefore, for many younger generations, in mainland China, drugs are not cool or recreational at all. Despite being the big taboo in China, young people are quite curious about it. Some went overseas, for example Thailand, and have seen the cannabis shops on the street. They wonder how come it is legal in Thailand. Isn't that bad for the people? Some watch Western films and TV series, for example Euphoria. It is super popular in China too, although most people watch it from pirated sources as they will never pass the censorship as you can imagine. It is quite eye-opening for young Chinese people to see American teenagers access drugs so easily, and it seems super common for them to take drugs casually as well. Hence, a lot of them wonder how it feels to take drugs, and some did take the adventure to give it a go themselves, and they openly talk about it on Chinese social media, although they got taken down surely, as you can imagine too. For example, this Chinese guy went to Peru and tried coca leaf for the first time. He said he tried over 10 leaves but didn't feel anything special. People commented under this post saying this is no fashion psychedelics. Some just commented a nice emoji. Well, it's not ice. Some also asked if you get addicted to coca leaf, but OP said you wouldn't as it only contains less than 1% cocaine. This Chinese lady lives in Peru and has attended a peyote ritual. She said it was a profound experience. People commented saying they want to experience it too. 2 months ago, I bumped into a really good post on Red Note. It is a translation of a Reddit post written by a meth addict. It is a really good article and OP translated it in an unbiased tone. The post attracted a lot of attention within a few hours after being posted, but unfortunately it was taken down after 2 days. I knew it was going to be taken down by Renault when I saw it, so I took some screenshots of some interesting commentary. For example, this guy said he's tried weed for a few times, but he didn't desire more after. OP then replied to him saying you can't compare weed with meth. Fair enough. Also, another person agreed saying weed isn't actually a drug. Then the first person immediately commented again saying he also tried LSD. Okay, a bit cringe. Then there are other comments from people curious about other drugs, like this one. What kind of drug is ket? Someone please explain? Or what is GHB? So you see, people do want to know more about different drugs, not because they want to try each one themselves. They just want to get some info so they will understand more when they watch some Western TVs or films. Also, upon reading some comments on Chinese social media, I do feel like a lot of Chinese young people have quite some misunderstandings on drugs. I saw this post the other day. OP said he asked a question on an American forum if weed is harmful. However, no one believed it is in the commentary, so OP was pretty confused as he's never tried weed before and all the education he's received in China mainland made him believe weed is harmful. So now he started to question if he's always wrong about weed. In the end, he said maybe none of them thought weed is harmful because they all smoke too much weed that they all dumb now. There are some interesting commentary under this post. One person replied, OP, when you raise this question, it's pretty much like you are doubting yourself. This is the perfect brainwash technique from rich Western dealers. No matter if weed would affect your health, it is no doubt a gateway drug. No matter how many cigarettes you smoke, it is still cigarettes. But if you've opened the gateway of drugs, you never know what's next. Then someone said this is not true, as alcohol and nicotine are more addictive and harmful than weed. Then this person commented saying weed and alcohol are not on the same level. Weed is more hallucinogenic and addictive than alcohol. It is one of the ways for the advocate who trying to promote weed legalization by comparing weed with cigarettes and alcohol. When I've read these comments, I just think the whole anti-drug propaganda in China mainland has really worked well because there is no one there telling the young Chinese people that weed is less addictive than nicotine and less harmful than alcohol, and weed is technically not a hallucinogen. I'm not saying smoking weed is absolutely wholesome, and I know it is always debatable if cannabis is a gateway drug. I think it may be a gateway drug for some, but not inherently for everyone. It is not a guaranteed stepping stone to the hard drugs. And you know, despite the draconian anti-drug laws in China, there is one type of drug which is a plant, is actually allowed in China. Do you know what it is? It is betel nut. You probably argue if betel nut is a drug. Well, it is considered a psychoactive substance at least. I don't have the most recent statistics, but according to Wikipedia, as of 2021, over 100 million people in China were reported to chew betel nut regularly. Especially in Hunan province, almost 50% of the people aged 30 to 40 chew betel nut regularly. Betel nut is classified as a Group 1 carcinogen by the World Health Organization, and its consumption is linked to risk of oral cancer. Let's watch this video clip filmed by a Chinese guy who tries very hard to stop people chewing the nut. Alert, viewers discretion only.
小芬娜的下载，你看，一个歌手，一个歌友，我们不欠任何。
So why hasn't China banned betel nut already? Firstly, the betel nut industry supports millions of farmers, retailers, and processors in China. A full ban would deeply impact regional economies, especially in rural areas. Secondly, in places like Hunan province, chewing betel nut is associated with masculinity and hospitality. For a lot of middle-aged men in the region, it is essentially part of their lives, so it is hard to ban it completely. In saying that, There is some incremental steps already taken by China rather than an outright ban. For example, China banned advertising of betel nut in 2019. However, it doesn't really stop those middle-aged men in Hunan province chewing them non-stop. In general, I am not here to say if China's anti-drug policy is too harsh or not. What I'm trying to say is that China needs at least to provide some education to young people about drugs instead of just censoring anything to do with drugs as a blanket rule. At least let them know what is upper, what is downer, what is the difference between weed and heroin. This is today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you next time. Bye bye.